talk about the owner occupancy ratio. You have to protect against too many rentals. No more than, now they've liberalized the rental requirements because they now allow no more than 50% of the overall units being rented at one point in time. It used to be less than that. I don't know whether or not you want to allow 50% of your units to be rented. You may want to have a provision in your documents that limits the number of rentals in a particular project. And speaking of that, let me tell you about a situation where a client just came into my office recently and said, okay, well, I bought a unit, I'm refurbishing it. Actually, he's a developer who's trying to make a buck now, but he bought a unit at a very reasonable price. It was in bad condition. He's fixing it up. He wants to sell it, but in the interim, he wants to rent it. And he obviously didn't do his homework. He didn't call us, and he didn't read the documents, or thought he could, or the realtor, which frequently happens, said, hey, don't worry, you can rent it. And then it turns out that there's a limitation on the percentage of rentals in the condominium development. And now he's coming to me and asking me, what can we do about it? When we put that clause in the documents, we also pass, or have the association have, rules and regulations concerning how is that limitation going to be implemented. In other words, it's one thing to say, okay, no more than 15% of the units can be rented out. But how does that work? How does anybody buying a condominium unit know that the 15% threshold has been satisfied? How does anybody buying the condominium unit know that if, when will that person be eligible to lease his unit? Is there some sort of revolving program? Or is it that once a guy starts leasing his unit, he gets to lease it in perpetuity as long as he wants to? Or does he have to give up the right to lease it to somebody else who wants to lease their unit? So in my judgment, in terms of putting limitations on leasing, which you may want to consider, you may also want to consider, or you better consider, or your lawyer better be smart enough to consider, putting together some sort of procedure for implementing the program. Because if you don't, your argument, my argument will be, hey, how's somebody supposed to know this? We can't tell from any rules or regulations or your documents. What kind of reasonable policy do you have in place to ensure that there's some fairness in regard to the rental restriction prohibition? So that's just an aside, but that's